3 cheers for natural light. Check, 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 check. So, the season's upon us, and no, I don't mean the holiday. I'm talking more about the black dog in the room. Millions of people really just dread the approach of winter, cooler temperatures, the days get shorter, and the sun sets before 5 o'clock in Maryland right now, which is kind of a downer. And even above that, a lot more people are just depressed and anxious in general year-round. I was the latter. I also want to begin this video by saying I am not a licensed therapist or trained in any way. This is just my personal experience in my journey with, anxiety and depression. Again, I'm not a therapist. I feel like a lot of years I would find myself self-evaluating more so from a negative perspective. And it's interesting because a lot of times our brains and social media, essentially everyone else's highlight reel of what isn't exactly a perfect life, but what appears to be, would just make me feel behind. And I think we all feel that way from time to time. It's human nature to feel behind and to always be looking at what you're striving for and not really enjoying the present, which is just really sad. And the trap I would really fall into was just that of comparing myself to others, and not even others, but how their social media has portrayed their lives to be, which if you don't know, is a total farce. Social media is not to be trusted. It's not real life. But long story short, after a lot of hard work and getting active in my own recovery, I don't really struggle with anxiety and depression anymore. And I want you to really note that word, struggle. A lot of mornings I would wake up and look for the feelings to think if this was going to be a good day or not. What's the old saying? You go looking for trouble, you're gonna find it. So yeah, now when I wake in the morning, if I'm feeling down, a little anxious, instead of struggling with those feelings and just getting down about them, I allow them to be there. In allowing them to be there, you essentially strip their power away. And it's a work in progress, but you do learn to live parallel to the feelings. And if you're living by your values and striving for your goals, they just become easier to carry around. A lot of times I don't even realize they're there, and dare I say, enjoy life. I had really planned on making a video about this. This is only my second video. I don't know, I felt a little compelled to do so from certain conversations on social media around the topic of seasonal depression and anxiety, and just not to toot my own horn, but I've come a long way, especially in this last year and a half. And I might make a video in the future detailing the things I do daily and the practices I've introduced in my life to, again, not combat these feelings, but just to be more accepting of them, and in doing so, almost making them irrelevant. I will say I highly recommend stoicism and exercise. I live according to my values and my goals. But yeah, today I wanted to share a short story I had written a few years ago, which is in my collection, Hunger Pangs, which came out a couple of years ago, and kind of crazy that it's been that long ago. But yeah, I think the story was the catalyst in my own recovery. It was almost the point where I was like, I'm going to do something about this. I'm kind of done living this way. What I've been doing isn't working, and what I had been doing wasn't much at all, mainly just wallowing in self-loathing. I think my recovery, if you want to call it that, I think it all started with this story here. I know there are authors who say certain stories that they've written almost like a self-exorcism, getting that stuff out and putting it on the screen or putting it on a piece of paper. There's something powerful about being able to look at that stuff outside of yourself. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I would equate this story to, not to sound melodramatic, but quite simply, it was an exorcism. It was a pivotal point in my life where I began to actively change things and address patterns in my life that just weren't healthy, and I'm better for it. So again, this story is from my collection Hunger Pangs, and it's titled Waning Plumes of Frostbitten Air. The frigid wind laps at the wolf's nose and its lids open. The yellow iris is in bloom as the pupils contract. Scanning the tree line of the winter wasteland, it peers into the crevices between the pines, searching for what it knows lies within. It struggles to its feet and stretches out, claws expanding at the cold of the snow. Its stomach wrenches, unable to remember what it is to be full. The wolf lifts its nose, and a plume of air escapes its nostrils. Some days, I feel so dead behind the eyes, staring up at the ceiling, my body's innate clock rustling me from slumber minutes before the alarm whines in the way it does, singling the start of a day I've lived 10,000 times. The wolf stumbles with a whimper and tends to the fresh wound adorning its leg. The flesh burns where the black tendrils latched and dug in, spewing venom throughout the wolf's already weak and waning body. The wolf laps at its wound, eyes clenched, resisting the urge to cry in the way it did when it was young. Its yellowed eyes still on the tree line, vigilant for the threat, for the thing of many arms which seems to glide along the surface of the snow, weaving throughout the trees. The wolf can't recall when the evil first arrived, only that it did, and that it has followed ever since. The wound is hot on its tongue, and the movement of a nearby stream enters the wolf's ears. It loses itself in the caress of the water's flow, believing for a moment it isn't hunted, isn't constantly on the run. The water rushes from the shower's nozzle, jarring me from lethargy, and I stand there in the early morning, wondering what the point is. My internal workings coaxing me to continue the daily ritual of merely existing. The wolf nears the stream, the coolness beckoning, and shakes out its fur before pressing its snout to the water. The whiskey warms my chest as I surveil the others at the bar, some smiling, some laughing, as if not living the same day over and over. How I envy that. The spark of something new, something utterly different. Do they know what it feels like to see everyone around them content, all while feeling it's out of reach? A chill runs through the wolf and it stops drinking, and as the fur on its back rises, so do its eyes to the blackened anomaly hovering across the river, a gargantuan squid, tentacles twitching, watching the wolf with its hulk of an eye. The wolf's legs stiffen with the weight of its stare, the weight of its smile. The wolf takes a step backward, remembering the last time it faced the evil. The stench of the squid's venom erupts in the wolf's nostrils, and with another step backward it yelps, scrambling away on lanky legs, its malnourished body panicked and carrying it through the forest. The branches grab at its face and snout, clinging to the fur on its shoulders as it runs knowing the thing is faster than it will ever be, knowing it's only a matter of time before it feels the searing pain of the squid's tendrils. The wolf's eyes widen and it presses on, lungs ablaze with frozen air. The lock clicks and I loosen my collar after another day at the proverbial mill. Sometimes I visit the past to talk to myself, to ask where my zest for life went, and if it'll ever come back. The wolf backs against the wall of the mountain, pressing its body to the slick rocks. It lowers its head as the malformed mass approaches, blackened tentacles extended, hooked barbs expanding, dripping with venom, and as the evil shadow envelops the mountainside, the wolf's tail curls between its legs. They question why I'm not more than I am, why I haven't accomplished more. These voices come in the throes of sleepless nights, why the space next to me has been bare of something real for so long, and how I don't care, and do all the same. I believe you can leave with less than you came with. I believe because of life and all its shit, you can have less of a soul when you die, battered and shredded, still intact, but not much more than a stringy mess of what you've managed to live through. The wolf lowers its head, eyes on the squid, and the hooked barbs inches from its snout, the acid hissing in the snow as it leaks in anticipation. And as the familiar weight of unworthiness comes, as it does from time to time, a small voice rises. First, a whisper. Be thankful, it says. Open your eyes. Then, a murmur. You're not alone, and you never have been. And in the throes of everything, something flickers within me, the possibility for happiness, that the will to strive for it in the midst of hell is something utterly necessary. And so I straighten my posture, the other voices still present, but not quite as damning, wondering if something good is worth the pain, knowing that it is. And so the wolf's brows furrow, a low growl in its throat, and the ghost of a squid halts a moment, reminded, as is the wolf who looks up at it, that no matter how broken, defeated, and starved it's been, this wolf still has teeth. So all in all, in my experience, there are many things that can fortify you in your journey with anxiety and depression. The main factor is you. It boils down to you getting active in your recovery, whether that is reaching out to that trained professional, making that call to your doctor or good friend and just spilling your guts, let them know what is happening. Take that first step and just know that you're not alone. So many times our brains just convince us for whatever reason that we are alone in whatever it is going on in our head, whether it's depression, anxiety, anything. But we have to remember there are billions of us on this planet. Billions. And we're all built in similar ways. It's almost prideful to think we are alone in these issues. So just cast that aside and just seek help. There are tools and those with the knowledge to assist you in your recovery, but they're not going to just randomly appear at your door one day. So seek them out. Take that first step. Things get better. There's a line from the Miko the Devil song, which goes something like this: as long as I wake, I'm already stronger than dead. You're not alone. So get after it. Hey, thanks for watching, and as always, my books and social media can be found in the description below. If you found value in this, I would really appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, passed it along to someone who you thought might get something from it. We're all on the same winding road that's this life, so we may as well help one another out. See ya.